Peter here back with another live for you here on Buckeyes Battle Cry. Yeah, it's me again. We're back with another one. This time, Arthur Smith hired as the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. That's right. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Please like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to hype up the video if you can on lives too. Not sure if you can do that on lives. Tonight we're going to be discussing the 2026 Ohio State schedule because it is officially out. It has been released, and we're going to wait until someone pops in to say hello to our first live viewer. We got a 12-team schedule here, much more on the horizon for Ohio State. I see great things on the Buckeyes horizon in 2026 with Julian Sayin coming back, Jeremiah Smith, a junior season, Sayin's redshirt sophomore season upcoming. Of course, Bo Jackson's true sophomore season. He'll be back leading the pack at the running backs, along with Jacoby Jackson. Bo Jackson's back there. Bo Jackson and Jacoby Jackson. Bo Jackson going to be back there for the Buckeyes. Going to be nasty for the running backs. Of course, Austin Searville, Malik Montgomery, and others returning for Ohio State on the offensive line. Tegra Shabola will not be returning for the Ohio State offensive line. You can argue whether that's a good thing or a bad thing for Ohio State, but I think most Buckeye fans will tell you that's probably a good thing that Shabola is moving on. Now, on defensively, we replaced 8 starters and had the nation's number 1 defense last season. Surrendered only 13 points to the nation's number 1 team in the national champion Indiana Hoosiers in their basically home stadium in Indianapolis. I think the Buckeyes did pretty well, if you ask me. Now, we're going to break down this schedule a little bit. Of course, we don't need to talk much Ball State, but kicking off the season home in Columbus, September 5th versus the Ball State Cardinals. That's right, on Muncie, Indiana. Ball State's going to be traveling the very short distance from Muncie to Columbus. The Buckeyes are going to pay them handsomely to take a fat L in the horseshoe to kick off the 2026 season. It would be fun to be there for that one to just kick off the season, even though it's a cheap game, affordable game, good game for the kids to bring to. But yeah, should be a lot of fun for Ohio State and Ball State getting it on. The Indiana team. It's not the Indiana Hoosiers. We do go to them later in the season, of course. We got some tough games. I've highlighted 5 potential losses for Ohio State on the season. One gets a half a star for a potential loss for me. That's the Illinois Fighting Illini. That game is at home, so that's why it's only half a star. We demolished them in Champaign-Urbana this last year, knocking off Brett Bielema's squad. But then they go with September 12th, of course, versus Texas. Going to be a dogfight. Arch Manning versus Julian Sayin, round 2. Coming up, round 2, baby. Arch versus Julian. Arch versus Sayin. Going to be a wonderful matchup. The Manning prodigal. Will he turn it around and have a solid junior season, or will he continue to struggle for the Texas Longhorns? Now, Texas made a surge somewhere toward the end of the season and got blown out by the A&M Aggies. And A&M went to the conference championship game. Now, then they got come back home. Now, that's in Austin. It's going to be at nighttime. It's going to be at nighttime in Austin. A lot of returning starters for Texas. A decent amount for Ohio State, but not as many as returning for Texas, I believe. Both graduating some. Both some going to the pros, of course. Will be a night game on ESPN because ESPN and ABC always get those night games for the SEC. So it will be a night game in Austin. I'd rather play at night than during the heat of the Texas day. I'll tell you that much. That's for sure. I personally would. I know Julian Sayin and the boys would probably rather play at nighttime rather than the blistering Texas heat. Now, the last time Ohio State went down to Texas, the Buckeyes, of course, took on Colt McCoy, took down number 1 Texas. We were number 1. We were number 1. Ohio State was number 1. Texas was number 2 back in 2006. And we took down the Longhorns down in Texas Memorial Stadium 24-7 with Troy Smith bumping off and jumping off his Heisman campaign. Got off to a good start. A chance for Julian Sayin to do the exact same thing 20 years later, folks. 20 years later. Can't believe I'm getting that old. I'll be 38 when that game. No, I'll still be 37 when that game goes on. Psych. I'll be 38 soon after. Then next up, they play Kent State. The God, who was Kent Slate? From the MAC conference, of course. The Golden Eagles, or Golden Flashes, Golden Flashes, not the Golden Eagles. Kent State Golden Flashes, easy dub. A lot of money. In-state Ohio school going to get paid for that one. And then, of course, Illinois. This is where I circled the end of September. I got 1.5 losses potential for Ohio State in September. At Texas, of course, is the loss. And then versus Illinois. How's Brett Bielema's squad do? Can they run the rock down Ohio State's throat? They were incapable of doing that this year versus Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese, Caleb Downs, Davison Igbinosin, and crew. They couldn't do it. But can the Illini, in the fourth game of the year, September 26th, can they knock off Ohio State? I don't think so. But the Buckeyes should start 4-0, but it could be 3-1 with the loss to Texas. We're going to see how that goes. Then, of course, the next road game on the contest, our second road game so far of the season, at Iowa, October 3rd, okay? October 3rd, we travel to the Hawkeyes, a game I'd like to go to at some point, do the wave to the Children's Hospital up there at Kinnick Stadium. Fabulous thing, pink locker room and all. Should be a lot of fun at Iowa. That'll be tough. I don't see that as a potential loss for Ohio State, but some might. They'll be a ranked team probably at that point in the season. It'd be a quality win for Ohio State if they can knock off the Hawkeyes. In Kinnick, a very tough place to play. So I'll put another half star on that one. Not a full star for Ohio State. October actually have been the toughest month for the Buckeyes. Obviously, November is going to be really tough with Oregon and Michigan, but those are both home games. Iowa is a road game. Indiana is a road game. And USC is a road game in the month of October. 5 games. Yes, they play on Halloween at USC, the Coliseum, on Halloween night, most likely. Definitely a night game out at USC, the Trojans. First time out there since 2008 where Ohio State got blasted 38-3. Ohio State got demolished in that contest. Beanie Wells did not play. Todd Beckman and crew got destroyed. Terrell Pryor was not ready for the national stage at that point. But anyway, October 3rd, we go at Iowa. Should be a win, but it should be tough. Then we come back home, take on the Maryland Terrapins. Maryland, I don't know, man. I don't know. They're just always a 7-win program, but they always give Ohio State fits. They always seem to give us fits. They just do. They really, truly do. Then you got at Indiana, the rematch. The rematch from the Hoosiers squad that beat us 13-10 in Indianapolis because of Jaden Field and missed field goal and of other plays that didn't go Ohio State's way. Plays that went the Hoosiers' way, but Ohio State could not capitalize. Couldn't get enough big plays to beat the Indiana Hoosiers, but they get a rematch on October 17th. I'd love to be there. I want a ticket. I was looking at tickets right before I got on. $446 is the cheapest ticket right now. It was $320 before the full schedule was released, and I can't believe tickets are that much to see Ohio State and Indiana play football. But that's the way it is in 2026. Going to Indiana, the Hoosiers are going to be a tough out for the Buckeyes. They just truly will be. Then we got the bye week, October 24th. And then, of course, like I said, at USC on Halloween night, we take on the Trojans of USC, the famed matchup. Ohio State leads that series 19-12 and 1 all time. A lot of matchups. No, not that many times. 9-4 to 1, I think it is the all-time series between Ohio State and USC. Ohio State taking that series. Now, November 7th versus Oregon at home in the shoe. That's a star game. You got to pay attention to that one. The Oregon Ducks, Dante Moore and crew coming to town with a bevy wide receivers, a lot of offensive talent. Dante Moore and Dylan Raiola on the roster by November 7th. Will Dante Moore still be healthy, or will Dylan Raiola be leading the troops? We're gonna find out come November 7th when Ohio State hosts the Oregon Ducks. It should be a lot of fun to watch that one. Obviously, the last time we squared off was the Rose Bowl. Ohio State rolled 34-8. The time before that, the 2 times before that, Oregon beat us. Once in Columbus in 2021 and once in Eugene in 2024, the championship season. The rematch did not go the Ducks' way. They didn't like how it went at all. They got smoked 34-8 in Pasadena. It was not good for them. And they're going to have that on their minds. Dan Lanning is not going to forget the shellacking that Ryan Day gave him in front of a national audience, especially coming off two straight embarrassing playoff performances versus Big Ten foes, Indiana and Ohio State, the Big Ten champs this last year, and the national champs the previous year. Now, so we got Oregon November 7th. That's obviously a potential loss. They could come into the horseshoe and beat us. Dan Lanning, I don't think has Ryan Day's number like Mario Cristobal might and like others might, but potential loss there. Although I do have October being the toughest month. You got Oregon and Michigan on the schedule in November, of course. Now they bookend the month, November 7th and November 28th, of course. Then you got Northwestern and Nebraska in between. You got versus Northwestern, the Wildcats, Pat Fitzgerald's old squad. He's with Michigan State now. And you got at Nebraska at Memorial Stadium out there in Lincoln. Should be a lot of fun. That'd be a fun away day at some point too. Nebraska is quite a ways away though. That'd be a flight, I think, not a drive. That would be a long drive. Maybe in my 20s I could do it if I wasn't so broke in my 20s. I would have went to a lot more Ohio State games, but I didn't. So I'm gonna get to one this year. It'll either be Ball State, might be Illinois, or it might be the road game versus Indiana. I'd like to take my girlfriend to an Ohio State game down in Columbus, but who knows if that's gonna happen or not. We'll see where the funds are at come the fall and how things are going financially. But yeah, that is the schedule. 12 games. What games do you think Ohio State might lose? What games do you think Ohio State easily going to win? What games are toss-ups in your opinion? Comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the schedule and the 2026 schedule for Ohio State. Run through it one more time real quick again. In the month of September, kicking off the season on Memorial Day week or Labor Day weekend, Ball State, the Cardinals, shellacking at Texas September 12th, versus Kent State September 19th at home, and versus Illinois at home on the 26th. Moving to October, of course, we got at Iowa at Kinnick Stadium versus Maryland at home. At Indiana, the Hoosiers, the big rematch of the Big Ten Championship this last year. Then a bye week, and then we go to USC. So 4 games each month. Go to USC on Halloween night. Coming back home from the West Coast trip should be tough, even made tougher because it's a tough opponent. The Oregon Ducks and USC Trojans are back-to-back weekends. We host Oregon on November 7th. That's a potential loss. Versus Northwestern on the 14th. At Nebraska on November 21st, leading into the game versus the Wolverines. Now, Bryce Underwood and a new coach, Kyle Whittingham, the disgraced Sharon Moore, was fired from the Wolverines program, and it did not go well. So I gotta see how things might have played out, but you got to think that Ohio State is looking to stack wins, to get a second one in a row versus the Wolverines, of course. Michigan looking to get revenge, but it's going to be in the horseshoe, the snake pit. How are you going to win in Columbus? You've done it twice. You had the last 2 times you've been down there, but you died to the previous time before that. Now 2026, we get you at home. We're the better quarterback. Julian's way better quarterback than Bryce Underwood is. You lost your tailback Justice Haynes to the portal. Jordan Marshall returns, of course. You got some others to the portal as well for the Wolverines, but you got to think Ohio State's going to be out for blood again. Wanted to keep the streak going versus Michigan. And, of course, everything on the line in that game all the time, man. You throw the records out the books, man. We saw that in 2024. If you didn't learn it, if you didn't believe it, you didn't believe that the 90s existed. Well, the 90s showed up in 2024, but we still won the national championship because we got a shot with the 12-team playoff and took advantage of our second or third life, if you will, after a 10-2 season. Now, I see the schedule playing out 10-2. I could see us losing to Texas early. Actually, scratch that. No, I can't. I could see us losing at Indiana, and I could see us losing versus Oregon at home. 10-2 is what I'll say. I think the Buckeyes have every possibility to go 11-1. I truly do. They are that talented. They are that good. I really believe that. I truly do. Ohio State is that talented. They are going to be that team next year. National championship favorites, along with Indiana, Georgia, okay, Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, I think, is a national title contender. And then Miami, Notre Dame. Notre Dame is my 6th national title contender. But with the schedule, I see Ohio State going to 10-2, potentially 11-1. I don't see another undefeated season for Ohio State this year. If they go 12-0 with this schedule, they'll be the number 1 seed in the playoffs very easily. as long as they wrap up the Big Ten championship. Now it's been 6 years since Ohio State's won a Big Ten championship. Can the Buckeyes do that again next year? I don't know. Can they get back on top in their own conference? I really hope so. I really truly do hope so, but I'm not certain that they can. Now, transitioning away from that, I think the Buckeyes will be 10-2, potentially go 11-1, 12-0 probably off the table, but if they do, they'll be the nation's number one team. They have the potential to be number one team entering Indiana as well if the Hoosiers aren't number one. Now, Arthur Smith was hired as Ohio State's offensive coordinator this past week, and we saw that hire. I made a couple videos about that, short and a video. Hope you guys check that out, and that would be wonderful to check out with you guys what this hire means for Ohio State. Of course, what does it mean for the Buckeyes? Well, it means that Arthur Smith is now leaving the NFL. He's coming to Ohio State, and he'll be the new OC, obviously. So he brings a running style of offense, meshing that running style, that power run with Derrick Henry like he had at Tennessee, like he wanted to establish in Atlanta but couldn't, like he wanted to establish in Pittsburgh but couldn't, didn't have the O-line or the talent to do so, or the running back to do so. Meshing the running scheme with Ryan Day's passing scheme. How's that going to work out? How's it going to play out? Arthur Smith and Ryan Day, two different polar opposite schemes. It's going to mesh to form the Buckeyes' best offensive unit since 2019, in my opinion, with Justin Fields and J.K. Dobbins. I think Ohio State's going to look amazing on offense with a junior Jeremiah Smith, a junior in years in college in Julian Sayin, but a redshirt sophomore Julian Sayin. Chris Henry Jr., Bo Jackson, Jacoby Jackson. Our offensive line is going to be elite, and I think Ohio State's going to have a really talented squad next year. With Arthur Smith to work with, a lot of offensive talent coming in from the portal. Coming in, we got a receiver. I forget where he's from now. I can't remember. Remind me if you're the viewer watching, where we got a receiver from. Talented guys coming in, talented freshmen coming in. Chris Henry Jr. and Guilford, and among others. The Buckeyes are going to be stacked on offense. Arthur Smith is going to recalibrate and recharge and rejuvenate his career in Columbus, just like Matt Patricia has done. Patricia's given 2 years. He made a promise to Ryan Day. He's sticking to his word, and I respect him immensely for doing so. Even though he was not good in Detroit for the Lions, he's been very, very good for Ohio State. That's just a given. It's a fact. He's been elite for Ohio State. Yes, he had elite talent to work with, but Arva Reese developed. Sonny Styles was a whole new linebacker under James Laurinaitis. And the Buckeyes defense was disgusting. Davidson, Igbenos, and Jermaine Matthews, among others, just made plays. They just made plays, folks, and they're going to continue to make plays. So hope you guys have a good night. I don't know if I'm going to stay on here much longer with not many people watching and tuning in. They're probably watching other channels because of the schedule release tonight, competing with other larger channels. I get it. So we'll try and get to the 20-minute mark at least, and then I'll jump off the live here. But anything else you guys want to talk about, I'd love to discuss college football with you guys. If anybody wants to join the conversation, Arthur Smith, he was the Falcons' head coach from 21 to 23 with a 7-10 record, but he turned down the Philly and Tennessee offensive coordinator jobs for Ohio State. He wanted to coach in college and rejuvenate his career there. The Steelers were 25th in offense in 2025, 23rd in 2024, so it actually got worse. Titans were a top 10 offense both seasons. He was at the helm of the Tennessee Titans offense. He's not going to recruit for Ohio State. He's not going to recruit for the Buckeyes. He will not be a recruiting coach. He was an offensive lineman in North Carolina from 2001 to 2005, and he's only 43 years old, so he's right around Ryan's age. They should be getting along well. And he has a stash and looks a lot like my dad. It's kind of funny. Cannot lie. It kind of cracks me up that he looks so much like my father, but that is just the way the cookie crumbles on that one. It's all about the Block O, folks. Ohio State entering the 2026 season as national championship favorites. They're probably the betting odd. Maybe Indiana is. Maybe Georgia is. Maybe some other school. But right now, I got all this information by Dan Holt from 11 Warriors, by the way. But right now, Ohio State is one of your national championship favorites. It's just the way it is, folks. Every year, you have to deal with Ohio State being a national title favorite. I have the 2014 pennant right there. I have the 02 pennant right there. I have to get the 2024 pennant. I have not got one yet. It's on the wish list, but I just bought the book, Buckeye Brotherhood, and I'm going to be buying that. Or I just bought it. It should be arriving here in a few days, so in February. So yeah, I will see you guys later on the next one. Go Bucks and God bless. I really enjoyed tonight's live, even though it was brief and not many people joined and nobody commented. But don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. We love you guys. All right, good night. Go Bucks and God bless. We will see you on the next one. Pete and Rob.